So let's start it off with our client, Baader GmbH from Team Digitalization. Please welcome Sabrina, Eßer. Nice to have you. Another client here with together with MindSphere. Please welcome from Evonik Nutrition and Care GmbH, Cléa, Michel. And then from Siemens, Joachim Ummenhofer. And from MindSphere, please welcome Claus, Cremers. And last but not least, give it up for Sebastian Wolf. So, welcome everybody. I just briefly gave the audience an overview of what happened last year. The MindSphere Open Space Challenge is what it was called. Super interesting. It was super exciting. You were part of it. I remember how much action there was on stage and how interesting the use cases were. Now we have Baader here, for example, with us, and maybe you can tell us what happened in the past year.
So let me just quickly start and explain our audience what the Open Space Challenge was about.
Please.
So you know Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Who else knows Shark Tank?
Great show. Anybody?
Anybody?
Höhle der Löwen? Something like that.
In Germany it's called Höhle der Löwen. Yeah. So and we set up a similar format for our customers because an open ecosystem only works if you have a lot of participants in the ecosystem, right?
Right.
So and we are looking for challenges with customers to solve these problems together on MindSphere. And that's basically the part of the Open Space Challenge when we decided to work with Baader and fix one problem they had in the IoT space. So, and we will be hearing about this a lot in the next hour. And then, of course, we built together the solution then is used and operated by our clients. And this way, basically everyone wins. Because we have an ecosystem growing, we have great solutions on MindSphere, we have great customers and great applications. What do you want more?
Nothing more, except some more information now from you guys. So I'll leave the stage to you, Sebastian.
Thanks, Chris.
Go for it.
Okay. Okay, so this is a quite new format for us today here, sitting in chairs. So first of all, welcome here from us in Hall 9 at Hannover Messe. I hope you had the chance to see the place, to see our booth, all the great exhibits and stuff that we present over here. I can only recommend, after this session, have our customers in a conversation up in the MindSphere Lounge. There's great stuff to see. And Claus, let's maybe come back to the conversation we just started with Chris. I mean, it was an exciting year for us overall. I mean, we have seen a lot of challenges with other customers as well. What did you like best about the Baader case?
So the best thing about the Baader case, of course, is the reality that we are facing here. It's not about so much about technology. It's about ecosystem. It's about the use case, the one who really needs and deserves the application that's coming out of it. And we are already talking about a network because that's what happened in the past year. A little spoiler, because we have Evonik with us here on stage, and it's a new player in the ecosystem that just joined the ecosystem in the last year based on the challenge.
And I think this is really fun to see because you started very small, or we started very small, and then you add one ecosystem to another, and it's growing and growing and growing, and then the more you add, the more you gain, right?
Yes, that's it.
So Sabrina, when you joined us for this challenge, what was the exciting moment for you?
The exciting one, it was the big network. So to see that different use cases match together, and we got also in contact with Evonik about different interfaces, so to say, in another network and the MindSphere network to exchange. Yeah.
Great. So Cléa, you're with us for the first time here at Hannover Messe in Siemens.
Exactly, yeah.
How do you like our place?
It's pretty big. I was surprised to see how big it is, and it's really impressive to see that there are so many applications for the Siemens devices and tools. So I was happily impressed, yeah.
Okay, welcome. So, and Joachim, you're the guy more from the concrete stuff, right? You're the hardware man for us.
That's absolutely true. I'm here to explain a bit how long I've been with Baader and what experience we have together in creating value. And of course, you know, from all the global data exchange down to the machine level again. So I'm happy to explain that.
And I think this is really important to keep in mind because without any hardware, there is no data. So you need to get the data from somewhere, and will be exactly what we'll be hearing from you. Okay, Claus, so let's get started. Let's have a first look into like our open space concept. Can you just tell us a little bit about what do we offer, why is it so exciting, and how can we get engaged with our audience here about this?
Yes. Thanks, Sebastian. So this is Hannover Fair. So this is exceptional once a year, but we do this kind of stuff all year long. And this is maybe what you see on the left side. It's about networking. And networking means for us we bring together customers and developers in all areas, in all business areas, based on our platform, on the data platform. Sometimes I say it's like business built on data, and therefore we do, for example, meetups in lots of cities in Germany.
Just hold on for a second. What is a meetup?
So a meetup, I think Baader also attended. It's like everything I spoiled a little. I looked a little bit up from the startups in Berlin. Everybody gets 5 minutes, pitches the idea, and explains what's the use case. And then afterwards we are very open, very intimate, and discussing also the technology problems, but more or less the use case. So this is a meetup, and we welcome everybody. It's open for everyone.
So everyone here in the audience can just right after the session go talk to you and participate in such a meetup?
Yeah, on 10th of April we are in Chemnitz. On the 22nd we are in Freiburg, and we go to Munich, Hamburg. So we will have the whole year long, every month a meetup.
That sounds great. What else we did?
So Sebastian, I know that you also participated. We had approached a new target group who's really important for our platform. It's the developers. Developers and all kinds, and therefore we made the developer days. That was really, really amazing. I remember the dark room there in Berlin where we had all them together because that's what they need. They want action, they want to understand stuff, and we brought all our product managers there to have a 2-day intense discussion.
I had a very interesting feedback from a customer when he walked into our hall in this industrial shady area, when he said, wow, that's so not Siemens. But it took a while for him to convert and to adapt to the situation. And then when he walked out, he said, you know what? You convinced me. I love it. So that was really great. So I think, Claus, there's a couple of more things, but we will be hearing through the presentation what else we have.
We'll hear through the presentation, but matchmaking is there. We have lots of partners already there on MindSphere. And we always need to find the best-in-class partner for each use case. So this is what we call matchmaking, and also matchmaking is nothing you can just search and Google. You need to face the people, to meet the people, and therefore we maybe you can also meet some of the partners here, but it's not all the partners. We have a huge ecosystem, and therefore we do this matchmaking things. Recently we had a hackathon where 4 partners pitched for a customer case, and who won the challenge? It was a startup. So it's not always the one who's maybe the best technology provider, but maybe the quickest and maybe the most flexible one. So that's matchmaking.
All right, matchmaking. I like matchmaking, and I like doing this in person, obviously. So Sabrina, how about you? Do you like matchmaking? Is this something that you do in business?
For sure, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. I already did it at Siemens, so I know it's different from Siemens to make it real, because different departments and different companies has to work together, so it's very hard work. Yeah.
Sabrina, one question for you, because there's continued learning on the slide. And I know learning is of importance. We do it here as well. We learn a lot. But how do you think about learning, and especially when it comes to MindSphere?
Yeah, I like learning because I have to do it all my life. So when I get retired, I have to learn a long time now. And we try to learn in a collective, so in a network, to do an apprenticeship, maybe with Siemens together, to learn about your experience and the best way of doing something.
And I think that's really interesting because, I mean, who would have thought years ago, or even just a couple of years ago, that things will be so open in this time today, right? I mean, companies are collaborating, we're talking to each other, we are building networks, we're exchanging even apprenticeships, we're doing really project work together, and I think that's a really important message. You just need to get started at some point, but then you have a journey ahead of you where you can jointly develop things for a better future, and that's what I really like about your business case, and I'm very curious to hear now how this turned into real action.
Yeah, it's a different mindset. So you have to trust in other people. And that's not easy.
And that's what we mean with innovative new formats. Doing co-creation, doing co-ideation. I think this is the basis. Be open, be open-minded, and start to build networks on it. So, do we start with Baader? So, Sabrina, I think you have some slides for us. What resulted out of the challenge?
Yeah, thanks a lot. So the first slide is, did you like the taste of your chicken fillet? Whoever ate a fillet? Yeah. Whoever eat a chicken fillet? Yeah, so it's really tasty. And this means our journey, we want to get the taste, the feedback from you, from your side. So we want to explain it in the next slide together with Cléa. We want to say how important is it to get your feedback, so the end consumer feedback. The first slides, we shortly want to introduce ourselves. So my name is Sabrina Eßer. I'm working for Baader in the digitalization team, and we try to build up a digital platform for the food value chain. So we at Baader in the food processing industry, we are in the middle of the food value chain. So if you eat a chicken fillet or a salmon maybe a fillet, you touched it with a Baader machine. So we are very in the very middle of this chain. And we want to spread up the chain to the very beginning and to the very end. And so we have to build up a partner management. So with Siemens as a strong partner. Like Baader, you are around the world, you have locations everywhere, you have sensors, you have different techniques, you have different partner networks like the MindSphere and so on. And therefore we also met Evonik. So from 2 different networks, we get together with the idea to get a taste of a chicken or fillet. So the IoT topic in the fish and poultry is a bit strange, but we want to use it.
Yeah. Last year, I don't know, who remembered that we had this IoT on sea? So it was a challenge built on data from the... Yeah, there we go. Thomas is there as well. And we had this cool story about the fish production on sea and the data coming from the machine. So this was the starting point, and now I hear it already went over to chicken production. So it doesn't stop in one specific process in the food production chain, right?
Yeah. So now I'm together with Cléa from Evonik. Maybe.
Yeah, I can speak quickly about me. So hi everyone, my name is Cléa Michel. As you can guess from my name, I come from France. So I moved to Germany to work at Evonik, so in Hanau near Frankfurt. And I don't know if some of you know Evonik, maybe through the logo, thanks to Borussia Dortmund, I guess. Yeah. So we don't only sponsor football clubs, we also do specialty chemicals. So, and there's the business line animal nutrition, which is particularly interesting here because we are producing feed additives for all farm species. So when Baader and Sabrina came to us to speak about this project and this MindSphere project, we thought it could be very interesting to have some partnership, some collaboration with them, because we believe that combining expertise and experience is very interesting and is something we should focus now. Of course, we come from the chemistry business, but we also want to develop into digitalization, because in this era of digitalization, currently it's very important not to stick only on the traditional business, but to be more accessible, to reach more people. So the current project I'm working on is actually called digital animal farming. So the idea is to monitor digitally the farms and to assist the farmers with digital solutions. So that's why IoT is also one of our current focus.
Yeah. And the last 12 months, we are working in a journey together with Siemens and different partners. You also mentioned the meetup in Hamburg. My colleague Stefan was there also to have the pitch. Then the last SPS fair we were there and discuss about our case in the poultry business, how to make chicken process more transparent and to collect the data. So we try to connect to other companies to get more trust and to exchange data. And so no.
Sabrina,
yeah?
One question, because when I see communities,
yeah.
I know that Baader is part of the MindSphere world.
Yes.
And you are there. You were there from the first minute on. So maybe just few words about the MindSphere World and why Baader participated. Who knows the MindSphere World here in the? So, everybody wake up.
Yeah, the MindSphere World is an organization for customers getting together to exchange the requirements we have to the Siemens MindSphere. So we have a deep interface to the Siemens to get our requirements built up in the MindSphere ecosystem. So we try to make up some working areas to get more business cases, what kind of business cases we want to spread up, so that MindSphere is able to prepare something for us. Yeah.
And what I also really like about the MindSphere World is it's a user association that is built by members,
Yes.
not by Siemens.
No, it's built
So-
by members, so we are in cooperation with other Siemens customers. So the source of members are something with Siemens. Yeah. Okay, I go on to the next slide. So the Baader approach from our perspective, Baader is a machine builder. So nobody said, oh, a machine builder runs with data. But we think all the data are important. So the data from the whole chain. So our approach is to build up one digital platform as a basic for all future solutions. So because the feed has an indication to the taste of a chicken or a fish fillet. And therefore, we want to have a smart solution with strong partners like Siemens, like Evonik, to get all this data.
Can I ask a quick question here?
Yeah.
Who is interested in getting the best food possible? Who likes good food? Yeah, I think that's most of the people. So I find it really interesting that we, from a digitalization point of view, can steer food quality by using data. That's really, really wow.
Yeah, a few slides later we talk about it. Yeah, and what is our strategy in that? We already talk about strong networks, so we have to get more in touch with our customers and our partners along the chain to understand really the needs of the customers, the partners, and on which stakeholder, which data is important. Because if you talk about data, nobody knows what can I do with data, so we have to talk and to understand the process. And we want to do it with our team. So with our team, with our developers, with your developers, with your team from Evonik, and also with the MindSphere we already talked about. And the big thing we want to do is the data approach. So we want to collect all the data along the food value chain to make a fillet more tasty. Sebastian you already mentioned that we did the Challenge IoT last year, so we were on the stage. My colleague Stefan was here to say how we get data. And the story was quite funny. I'm sitting by lunch with some sales guys, and they talk about, oh, IoT is not interesting for our customers because they are on the trawlers far away. They have no internet, they have no connection, so they are not able to send data. And they say, oh, we should make it possible, and that was the challenge of the last exhibition here. And now we are at the end of the chain and want to collect the end consumer feedback. And you see on the slides, Baader in the middle of the chain, that's our current value creation. So from our side, we are in the slaughterhouses, running our machines at the fish and poultry side, and we collect the data of the machines. And we want to add these data with the process data and the data of the customers. So the whole value chain with business data, product data, and machine data. And we want to provide all the data along the chain to the different stakeholders in the time they need this information.
So I guess most of you are not really familiar with the poultry production business. So very quickly, we would like to show you the importance of the feed in this production cycle. So let's say you have a chicken. What do you need to have a chicken? You need an egg. And before that, you need a hen. But don't worry, I'm not going to debate on what came first. I just want to show you that actually to have a chicken, you need first hens and cocks, so the parent flock. So when these parents are reared, they most probably give eggs. And after these eggs are incubated, the small chickens, the day-old chickens, will hatch out of the eggs, and then they'll be sent to the farm where they'll grow for like 35 to 42 days in average in Europe. So once they reach the target weight, so around 2 to 3 kilograms, they'll be sent to the slaughterhouse, then to the processing plants, well, they will be prepared to be ready to cook or ready to eat. So after the packaging and the supply phase to the customers through the retailers, the chickens will finally be eaten either at home or at the restaurants. So in this cycle, actually, there's one very important element, which is the core here, so the feed mills. You can see in this cycle that the feed mills supply feed for both the rearing and the laying phases, but also for the growing phase. Sorry. Thank you. Again, please. Thank you. So that's why the business line animal nutrition is important in this process, because we provide feed additives. So here you can see this the feed production line, which is actually very simple. So first you have raw materials like corn, soya, or wheat, depending on the region, which is shipped to the feed mill, which then they prepare the feed and they feed the chickens simply. But that was the old way to do it, because we figured out like many decades ago that if you only give cereals to the chickens, they will not grow in the most efficient way possible. So that's why in animal nutrition we produce feed additives, for example, amino acids like methionine or bioamino acids like lysine or tryptophan, and also some probiotics, or some algae are rich in omega-3 fatty acids for the aquaculture. So all of these feed additives are added to the feed with some vitamins or minerals as well, and are provided to the chickens. This is a very important phase actually, because if you only provide the chickens basic cereals, they will grow for sure, but they will not grow at a high performance. And currently, as the population in the world is growing more and more, you need to meet this demand in meat. And of course, at Evonik, we also have some services, some feed analysis. So, for example, we have some labs doing wet chemistry or near-infrared, so near spectroscopy. And the aim is to gather data and to collect data about the feed we provide and the feed coming from the feed mills, for example, about the amino acids profile or the energy or crude protein contents. So all of this data is stored in Evonik's database, which is getting bigger and bigger now. So our current project is to focus on the precision livestock farming. So that's a very holistic approach to the livestock management, as the aim is to optimize the health, the welfare of the animals, while increasing the productivity in the farm, with both a data and knowledge-based approach. So this initiative covers several elements, for example, probiotics, so gut health solutions, but also animal diagnostics, which aim to check if there's any bacteria simply in the farm. And the third element is the digital animal farming, so as I said before, which aims to monitor the farm and help the farmers digitally. So this approach is actually based on a very strong scientific background, because the business line animal nutrition has experience of more of 60 years into this feed additive business. So on top of that, we want to add a layer of digitalization, for example, through the acquisition of Porphyrio, a Belgian company, which is doing data collection and visualization. We also invested in a British company called Optifarm. So we already had a contact with Optifarm, with Baader, and they're doing 24/7 monitoring of the farms and also providing some consulting services. Of course, we also want to focus on the animal welfare, which is becoming more and more critical nowadays, that you have more people defending the animal rights. So we could install some cameras or some sensors to check, for example, the nitrogen emissions, or to monitor the movements of the chickens in the barn, and to have some pattern recognition about that. For example, if you have a rectangular farm here, let's say you have chickens everywhere except in the corner, then you can say, there's a problem here. Maybe the heater is broken, maybe it's too cold. So you could see that with the camera that no chicken are going there. And so you could check the controllers of the farm and seeing, okay, what's the problem there? And you could maybe fix the problem remotely so that you would gain time. And if not, of course, you can still call the farmer to tell him, okay, go there now and fix the problem. So the aim, of course, is more efficiency, but for that, the challenge is also to acquire barn-specific data and to collect all of this data in our archives. So that's why we need a digital platform and partnerships with some experts in digitalization. So that's why we want now to collaborate with Baader and with Siemens via MindSphere, for example.
Yeah, I have one question on that, because I think this whole process is so complex, and now we learned a lot about it. So I'm really still impressed. But we are talking always about platforms, and now I see it's a business of platform-to-platform connectivity. So in the end, we have a larger ecosystem where lots of platforms have to play together, and I think maybe this is where we are now, where we all stay, and everybody knows, Sebastian, there are lots of platforms already on the market, so we don't own all the platforms. So there's a need to connect all those ecosystems and platforms, and then we can build specific use cases. And I think one of the most important things is, how do we scale this? Because I think your customers are, where are your customers? Like just a little...
Around the world.
Who has customers all over the world here? Everybody, I think. I see lots of people there. I guess you are all over the world spread. So, and there you have specific approaches, specific platforms, and then you need to be quickly connect those things. And in the end, it comes down to earth, connect to data, and this data needs to be connected to a platform, and then connect on the platform level, and then you can create such great use cases.
Exactly.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. So now the approach, so with Baader, would be to track back every single chicken along every element of the production process. So here you can see the cycle I talked about before, and actually now we would like to come from the customer and go backwards to the rearing phase. So we would like to go from the meat evaluation by the consumer until information about the chicken. So the information could be, of course, about the barn itself, like what were the parameters used to raise the chicken, what feed did you give them, but also about the hatchery, and as well about the origins of the chicken, like who were the parents of these chickens specifically. Because we realize that the parents' origin have a big influence on the quality and on the performance of the chicken, as well as the feed. And same about the processing plants, so the parameters are very important as well, because if the plant is well tuned, the chickens will be, the quality of the meat in the end will be perfect. But if you have some slight defect, like maybe you cannot notice directly, then maybe it will impact the quality of the meat in the end. So that's why we want to gather all of this huge amount of data about the farm, about the processing plants, about the feed, about the time, and all of this has to be stored in a digital platform. So Sabrina can talk a bit more about this platform now.
So the FEC platform is our food value chain platform. So we talked about a lot of platforms and how we use it. So we talked in the beginning, we want to build up a strong network from different partners along the food value chain. So from the farmer side or weather data, because the weather is also indicated by the catching on a trawler. So if there are waves and a trawler vessel has to be strong at the sea, or the chicken run in 30 degrees in a truck and get hot. So the transport also a very important thing, how they go from the farm to the factory. The factory, because it's our current value proposition. And the end, our story today, to say if you are in a restaurant and eat very tasty fillet, you are also able to collect your data, connect your data to our platform. And we did it on different interfaces because it's a very huge ecosystem. You have some APIs, you have no standards, you have standards, you have the MindSphere. And so we have different use cases with different data sources, with different connections to different platforms.
Let me just quickly ask the audience, who of you would be interested in using such an application to directly feedback the quality and the taste of the food to the farmer? Who would be doing that?
Yeah.
So I think we just need some more adjustment to that, but I love it. I mean, I'm an obsessed chef myself in my private life, so I'm cooking every day. So if I would have that chance, I definitely would do that.
Yeah, because you have some benefits out of that. You share the data, like the taste, or you will say some more criteria we want to collect, and you get back maybe the best restaurant in your near direction, or the best recipe you can cook, or maybe a cooking course, something like that. So we want to exchange. You provide data and you get data back out of this network. And so the next slide says or showed the food value chain with different stakeholders around the food value chain process from the very beginning, where the farmers are, the transport, some data sources, up to the processing part, so the first part of the value chain, and underneath the packing and some retailers, because if you have food, you can buy it in the supermarket or you can buy it in a restaurant. You have also regulations like authorities who want to say is food safety, animal safety, and our showcase is in the end user records. So to say, the end consumer who provides the data, and the data feedback runs to the factory, because we want to connect the chicken with the processing part, and give the feedback back to Evonik to make their process, we talk about the feed, more efficient. And the next slide, the beautiful slide we ever have, thanks for that. The very input from the eggs, Cléa already said egg, what was first, so very beginning, then the primary sector where the chicken grown up, the transport, processing, retail part to the consumer, maybe in a restaurant or you cook it at home, and the recycling part. It's more than a circle. And now we want to get feedback from the taste, maybe on an app, an integration, a direct connection, and give this information back to the primary process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you talked before about the parameters, criteria for the quality of the meat. So of course we have the taste, which is very important, if you like the taste or not, if you find it yummy or not. But it's also very important to focus on the color of the braised fillets. Because if it's, for example, normal color but with some red dots, you don't really want to buy it because it doesn't look very, very good to eat. And same, the texture is also very important, because if your chicken is very hard or chewy or sticky, it's the same. The customer will not really want to eat it or will not buy it again the next time. So all of these criteria have to be taken into account in this platform, in this application. Yeah. And then about the feed, of course, the feed has a huge impact on the quality of the meat, because depending on what feed you give to the chicken, as I said before, it will grow differently. So you can influence the health of the chicken depending on which feed and which nutrients you give to him.
So we have different needs of information in the chain. And all this information we want to collect on our platform to provide it. And so we also need the support from your side to get our requirements out of that, because you also have to introduce what is MindSphere doing for us. We are working a long time together, but all these single steps we have to put all our knowledge together to improve this process.
That would be a question from my side, because when we are talking about such a process, such a use case, we are talking about an architecture which needs to be open. And when it comes to openness, it comes to APIs, for example. So we provide an open IoT platform, and you can now access data with APIs. How important is that, and how do you manage this by yourself?
So exactly, I don't know it, because we have some specialists there who know that. But our case is to connect all data sources. Because you have machines like Baader machines, they are running for maybe 100 years, because it's a strong machine and it runs. So we have to find ideas or ways to connect these old machines, because they didn't get exchanged in the next 2 years, because they are still running and they are still good. Yeah. So we have to find with partner solutions to connect the data out of these machines to bring it up to the platform.
So MindSphere enables you to get the data from the machines, But the use case is a complete different one. The machine data is one part, and then we, of course, can run lots of applications on the machine itself. But the use case now you are talking about is much bigger, it's larger, it includes the end customer, the user, and this is really, really interesting for us as well. And then we don't stop in the industrial field, we go far beyond.
Yeah. So the last two slides from our side, with the taste or with your feedback of when you're sitting in a restaurant, we want to provide the whole chain with information in the time these information are needed. And in addition, we provide transparency along this process. Cléa already said humidity, air condition, and so on. These are very important things to know, but at the moment it's single platforms, single solutions, single sources of information, and we want to put them together. And what we can do in the chicken part, we also do it in the fish part already. So from farm to fork, we want to provide also water to plate. Yeah. So we started in the fish part last year. So it's still a journey to get all the information, and there we get the information from the catch. And it's also important to get to know who tastes the fillet, because some fish are catched in the sea and some fish are farmed. So some fish get a feed by Evonik, some not. So if we get all these data out of this chain, we can improve the whole process. So it's a win-win situation also for the end consumer, for us as Baader, and also for all our partners along this chain. And this is what we want to do together with our customers and partners. We want to improve these and to get new horizons, because if we talk to each other, we get new ideas, we get new information, and this is fun. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds really, really cool. There's a couple of more use cases you can find here on the booth. Like there is this chips, potato to chips use case, which is quite similar, but of course it's not a fish, it's not a poultry, it's a potato. And we are having here packaging machines, and these packaging machines also provide data. But Joachim, the data will not just come by itself. You need some devices to extract the data and to send it to somewhere.
Yeah. I would like to, I was invited to explain a bit about my history with Baader, actually, because we do have a quite long history. And the data, of course, comes from machines in the end. So I would like to take you down a little bit more to where the data comes from. Not only packaging, of course, but also processing. But before I do that, I would just like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Joachim Ummenhofer, and I work for the business development, food and food processing within Siemens. And my first contact with Baader was actually in 2002, so quite a long time ago, when I was an application engineer, and we were working together on a fish filleting machine based on our motion control system, SimMotion that time, and stepper motors. A few years later, I came back to Baader again, this time in my business development role. And now we're working on current solutions for Baader machines on the HMI side, on PLC side, drives, of course, and motion control. But also we have a regular exchange on future topics. So we look into the future as well and want to make sure that we can provide a cutting-edge technology to Baader. So that's why we do have annual technology exchange meetings for that. And again, as I said, I would like to go down, dive a bit deeper into the machine level again. You have seen this schematic of the food value chain we were talking about for quite some time. It exists for, of course, as you have seen, it exists for poultry processing. It also exists for fish processing, of course. And I would like to pick one, or let's say two small process steps and share with you what we discussed with Baader machines. And this is basically slaughtering and processing of fish. And as simple as it sounds to go from water to plate to fillet, as difficult it really is, because it involves really challenging technologies, and there is a lot of individual process steps involved, like like filleting, like portioning, like trimming, and so forth. And I would like to give you an example out of a salmon processing line and what it really means. There's a lot of, how shall I say, camera technology involved. You need to take picture of the fish because fish is a live product. So every fish will be individual. You cannot just cut each and every fish as you would cut a block of iron. You will need to cut it individually. So that's why you take photos, you generate cam profiles for all your individual tools to make sure that you get the best yield out of the fish. So in the end, it's kind of the most crucial part actually is making sure that you, because you as a consumer, and we had that actually, you as a consumer get a practically boneless fillet. You don't want, if you buy a fillet, you don't want bones within it, of course. So you need to be very close to the bones when filleting the fish. Of course, on the other hand, you know, the more careful you are with cutting, the more precious meat you will remain on the fish carcass. So the yield goes down if you're too careful. So you need smart algorithms basically to make sure that you have good yield of your fish you harvest, and at the same time provide good quality, no bones in your meat. So that's basically the challenging thing. A lot of photographing and quality control is involved in this. So what are we doing? When we discuss in our annual meetings, we basically face or discuss a few interesting questions what Industry 4.0, the digitalization, can bring for Baader and us, where we can go actually. So I put together some questions that we discussed, and I would like to share those questions with you. So wouldn't it be cool if we could kind of have the machines that take the photos, that do quality control, that verify the processing result, if they optimize itself, if they continuously get better in the process of doing that? That would be a really beneficial thing. At the same time, that's kind of a product quality related aspect. At the same time, wouldn't it be good if we could make sure that we can compare different machines around the world with each other? Because Baader machines, they are, and it does not depend if it's a fish harvested from a fjord in Norway or in Ireland or in Chile or wherever. It could also be a fish from sea caught directly. Wouldn't it be cool if we could compare filleting lines, lines processing fish? Do they differ in terms of, when they process the same fish, do they differ in terms of KPIs? So it would be cool if we could do that also centrally. And of course, now we have optimized one of the lines, we have smart algorithms, we improved it either centrally at the labs of Baader, or the machine does it all by itself. Wouldn't it be good if we could also teach the knowledge, the improvements, the optimization we found for one machine also to all the other machines in the world, just using the press of the button? That would be actually a good thing to have. Now, that's kind of the productivity view. The third view, you could take the third case of data being created within a machine as kind of maintenance-related data. I mean, we heard your machines last for more than 100 years, but still they will need continuous maintenance, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be cool if we could also find correlations between the product that is being produced at the moment, and our motion control profiles that we run, and the machine wear and tear. So when the machine is more worn with specific profiles of specific fish, that would be a good thing to have. Because then, if we knew these correlations, we could be far more precise in predicting when actually to maintain the machines. That would be really beneficial. So 2 more things I would like to mention to you. One thing is, I told you, we collect camera data. This is gigabytes per day. That's really, really, really a lot of photographies. 25 fish per minute are being processed depending on weight and size. So that's quite a lot. That's one thing. And all the data for maintenance-related data, this is also quite a lot of data, because you speed control, all the controller settings, following errors and so on, you will try to measure in milliseconds or 10 milliseconds or 5 milliseconds. That's a lot of data, I can tell you. So we need smart ways of pre-processing it, compressing it, and making it good for evaluation in the cloud in the MindSphere. And the last thing, I would also ask you, wouldn't it be a good thing if all the things we have learned and updated we could roll out it simultaneously to all the machines Baader has in the world, just with a single pressing of a button from one single source? I say yes, this would be definitely a cutting edge, something really beneficial also for Baader, right? So we as Siemens came to conclude that a good architecture for that kind of thing would be what we call Siemens Industrial Edge for automation, because that covers exactly that. We do have a local instance, an edge device, which can process all the high frequency data the machine generates. It has apps running on it to process the data, to make sure that the smart algorithms that run on this device improve the machine as it goes, and all the results of the optimization and the yield it produces and so forth is being uploaded to MindSphere again in order to manage the data and to also be able to download it again to other machines around the world. So I think that's quite a good use case, and I talked to that use case about a colleague of mine, because you can find this edge use case together with a MindSphere. Over there, just beneath the MindSphere launch, there is the Future of Industries court. You need to go there, basically. I talked to Mr. Ummenhofer. He's the one guy who is maybe the most experienced one in the whole edge and cloud environment. And he will be more than happy to explain you how he kind of made this thing work in his environment. So, yeah, thank you very much. I think I was able to show you that data is palpable, that data comes from somewhere, and it's machine-based, and it's something that helps you go along. And I don't know, if some of the questions we have discussed also came to you when you took a look at your manufacturing, then come see us. Take a look at our industries court here, or take a look at the artificial intelligence exhibit, for example. And I mentioned motion control, I think. So 1500T, our Simatic motion controller, can be visited down this aisle and then to the right, sorry. Or the new drive S210 also creates data valuable for the whole process chain. So that one's then on the left side. So yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Joachim, for this. I have actually two questions that came into my mind listening to you guys. So maybe we start with Cléa and Sabrina. So I heard things about animal protection and treatment. So I heard about connected chicken and connected fish. So I'm very much interested in eating healthy food, and I want to know that the animal I'm eating or the food that I'm eating is of good quality because the animal had a good life. So how do you see this happening in the future? Will we see more information also from the life of the animal? So I know exactly where it has been, how it was fed, how the whole process went on, because the process itself, to be honest, is not really romantic.
For sure, if you think about the slaughtering part, it's not the most romantic thing. But of course, if we focus on the barn level, so as I said before, if we install cameras, for example, we could check what's happening in the barn. For if the farmer is not really taking care of the welfare of the animals, you can see it directly. So of course, when you have the cameras filming him, he'll pay more attention, he'll be more cautious of the chickens, and that will help for the welfare.
Yeah.
So is this something that you would maybe provide also to the customers in the future?
That's something we would like to do for sure. But it would be anyway customized solutions. So we would like to answer the complex pain points of the customer directly, so ask him what he wants. If the customer wants more welfare, then we could offer him some tools to improve that.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Sabrina, how do you see that?
The same like Cléa. For us, it's also important to get all other data, like the weather data. So if the chicken gets hot, they don't feel very well, and we want to improve this process also. So with the reception manager, We want to provide him the information that he can take care about the chicken until they go to the processing part.
Okay, so that leads me actually to my next question, because you read a lot in the media that there is this kind of certification process for meat. So you can decide either you buy more biological, like improved food, yeah, or you spend less money, but then the quality at the same time is not as good. I mean, that's something that I really take care of. Could you imagine something like taste as a service? I mean, we're talking of platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. So why not taste as a service?
Why not? It's a good idea. We have to talk about with all the stakeholders around the chain to say since yesterday there's a new certification around the retailers. They want to provide their end customers the way of the meat it runs, like a green, yellow, red symbol. So this is the way going there, but we want to make it more transparent. We had the slide with the chicken to say also what was the condition, the feed up to the very beginning, what are the grandparents.
I have a question that's also connected to the openness of the whole process that we have. We call it open space. So now we heard we as Siemens can help to provide the data from the machines and really do it really efficiency and then work with machine data. You already have platform discussions and trying to focus more on the end customer as well. Is it everything we need? Do we need more players in the ecosystem? How big must it be that we can solve all these problems? So who do we need in our ecosystem?
I think we need all of us. So everybody is a small part of the ecosystem to improve the food. So we all have the need to eat. And on some parts of the world it's not able to get like here in Germany or so. So you have to take care on which part of the world we can maybe improve the process if we have the information of the human who are living on this continent and the possibility to grow up the chicken. Yeah, to support the protein needed on each area. So I think we have to improve the whole network with every single person here in the room, here on the fair also.
Because as we are online here, we can ask for anyone who can join our ecosystem. Could be someone who is selling food to the world, or someone who is retailing.
Retailers, restaurants, transport companies. So everybody who is part of the food value chain is able to join us. Contact us. We have a booth on the open stage in the MindSphere. You're also able to visit us on our internet site. So Baader, Baader.com. There are a lot of information. You can leave your contact data there, and we will provide more information about our ecosystem and the partnership we have with Siemens and also Evonik.
Okay, I would say perfect timing. We're coming to an end, but I liked your call to action because Baader is with us for the rest of the day today. We will have more use cases tomorrow and on Thursday, and an interesting developer panel discussion on Friday as well.
Yes.
But if you have questions now to us, to Baader, to Evonik, and also, of course, our colleagues here from Siemens with their devices, then please feel free. Join us after this session at our booth, have a coffee with us, get your IoT journey started. Anything else to add from your side, Claus?
We are doing art stuff as well. So there's, if you come up to the MindSphere Lounge, we will draw the whole story down, and we will be there and discussing how to make our ecosystem work and bring it to life.
Great. So with this, thank you very much for being with us. It was a great pleasure. I would just like to have a little comment towards the end here, because I see Samir, who's a friend of our ecosystem as well, and he will be talking also about a very interesting topic, data lake, right? So the data has to go somewhere, and how this works and how important this topic is. Samir will talk about this right after us. Okay, once again, thank you very much, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Siemens, ingenuity for life.